Where are we at? Is it working? Is it working? Is it working? It's working. It's working. Give it a few minutes. Let's bring people in here. Let's bring some people in here. I'm going to very quickly link the stream. What up, y'all? Play some background tunes, too. Come on in, everybody. Let's just chill, have a good time. What up? What up, what up? Let's give it a second. Let's see, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? My giant, very crazy stream set list. I should have a stream set list around here that I kind of used. Where's it? Twitch is right. Yeah, there we go. Too Soon Live. And the Twitch instrumentals. Yeah, there we go. Can y'all hear that? We doing good? Alrighty, alrighty. What up, y'all? You can't lurk today, Chris? I'm sorry. What's up, Brad? Let's do that. Let's do a little bit of a... What's up, guys? We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. I wanted to do a Zed Talks today on this, but writing it out was really frustrating. We got 53 people watching. What's up, y'all? What's up, everybody? Hey, we're having a good time. Post it on my Discord real quick. If you haven't joined, we have a Too Soon Crew Discord where we talk about a lot of stuff. There we go. And then we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about David Hogg. We're going to talk about the Scotus decision that just happened. Because that's kind of nuts. On YouTube. How you guys doing? How's audio? Audio good? Let's talk about the mail. Can we talk about the mail? We can talk about the mail. We can talk about the mail if we need to. How's the video, guys? How's the video and audio? Look okay? All right. All right. So what's up, everybody? It's been kind of a crazy week, right? Music's a little overpowering for my voice. Let me turn the music down a little bit more. How's that? A little bit better? Just kind of a chill background. I'll lift up my voice a little bit. How's that? Good? All right, cool. Alrighty. Let's do this. Alrighty. So it's been kind of a crazy week. What's up, everybody? It's me, the rap news person who you see every so often scream at you shit. I don't know. We got a lot to talk about today. I wanted to do a Zed Talks that I did not post because so I started writing it last night. I'll tell you a couple things that have happened. So number one, I not only do music for Evo, I do music for Combo Breaker. We have to get Combo Breaker done by tomorrow. So I've been trying to catch up on Evo work and then also Combo Breaker work. We got some really cool projects. Like we went 0 to 100 this last 2 weeks in the stuff that we made. But part of that is me falling behind on other things, you know? So been kind of tough, but a lot of shit has happened this week. And let's start real quickly with our good buddy David Hogg. So people have been asking me about this on David Hogg, and get the fuck out of here. Yeah, you can miss me with that shit. People are worried about the whole David Hogg thing, right? With the Democratic Party voiding their own election to try to kind of like oust him or whatever or whatnot going on, and a lot of the infighting that's happened around David and some of the stuff he said. So for those of you who don't know, a couple weeks ago, David Hogg got elected as vice chair to the Democratic Party. Ken Martin was elected chair. Malcolm Kenyatta was also elected as vice chair. And shortly after, Hogg said that he would use his PAC that he has to primary incumbent Democrats. All right. So there's two things. Number one, people were mad that Democratic officials wading into primary things. There's precedent for people being mad about that, but that's neither here nor there. But the other issue is there was just a lot of hand-wringing from a lot of establishment Democrats who were like James Carville, who finished yelling at a cloud and then came back to give David shit for, saying that they're too old. But no, a lot of Hogg's comments made headlines. This has happened before. Yes, it has happened before. Hey, I'm gonna get there. But so pretty much, the massive amount of infighting for this has happened before. But it made massive headlines that Hogg was saying this, especially because it came only a few weeks after Chuck Schumer kind of shot the bed with the fucking budget proposal. We'll go over that today too, because some crazy developments on that. But essentially, it just kept boiling over and over and over, and Hogg went on a stream with James Carville, and they got into a fucking fight. And then shortly afterwards, the Democrats voted to void the election they just had, where Hogg won, because it was it wasn't done in the proper procedural, just a lot of bullshit, right? And a lot of the headlines that I've seen around this whole story are Democratic Party's never going to change and all this kind of stuff. Which, look, the Democratic Party, I'm just going to spoil something for you, is a political party. They suck. Political parties suck, dude. They're record labels. I don't know if you've ever, if you go to a record label, if you're a musician and you go to a record label, there are a lot of nice people there. But collectively as a whole, the record label is hard to deal with because there's 1,000 people that work there, and some of them aren't nice. Large organizations tend to have very differing, fucking stupid priorities that end up fucking over a lot of progress. And so you have to remember that when you're dealing with stuff like David is here, dude. A lot of the shit that happened with David Hogg, is because of his... Oh, I have stuff that you're not supposed to be able to see yet. A lot of shit that happened with David Hogg is stuff that, I think he kind of knew it was going to happen. I think he knew it was going to kind of blow up in his face. Well, not blow up, but, start some shit. And to be honest, it was necessary to start some shit, to disrupt a little bit of the status quo a little bit, and get people out of their bubbles, and start the process. I think the unhelpful thing here would be to continue because this isn't necessarily even a liberal versus leftist fight in the Democratic Party right now, or even a progressive versus it's a establishment. It's a strategy fight. It's an establishment strategy versus new strategy fight. And it's where the moneyed interests goes, because there's a lot of donors and they just want to win elections. And it's which faction of the party can woo the most donors to win elections. If David, let's say David gets ousted as chair, and then in 3 months wins 5 primaries, and then in the general wins a shit ton of seats, the money's going to go to him, because the donors don't care. The donors want political capital. That's what they're paying. That's just how it works. And same with labels. Labels, if you ever deal with a record label, they'll tell you a bunch of things you have to do for your song. They don't fucking care. If your song blows up, they will start to love your song. It'll be the best song they've ever heard. Okay? All right? You know how stuff on the radio, you think that it sucks, it's not an industry plant. It's working. We're just going to back it. Right? That's kind of how this shit works. Lives can always be chopped and screwed. Yep. Grease done. Already looked at all grease. Good to see some live stream action here. Oh, thank you, Leaf. Hey, Zed, what about the Supreme Court's ruling? Appreciate the sanity you bring to the table. You said pressure means something, and it just got proven. Yep. What did I fucking say, dude? What did I say? Also, okay, we'll go back to David Hogg. Let's go to the Supreme Court real quickly. I'm sorry I'm all over the place. My ADHD acting up. I'm gonna have some magic mind in a second just to fucking. Okay. Bro, what? Look at this. I want this to be seared. No ads. Seared. I'm gonna screenshot this for everybody who gave me shit. What did I fucking tell you? Here. Dude, here's the problem. Here's the problem specifically with this kind of stuff. Because it's not like people are worried for no reason. They have every right to worry, especially with how this kind of stuff has happened, and especially with how things are fed. So I don't at all feel like, I'm not trying to rub it in, because if you really were scared, you 100% have every reason to feel the way you feel because of the climate that's there. You're not stupid for feeling how you do. You're not unreasonable for coming to this conclusion. But like, you have to, like, when new information enters, like, take it into account, not just dismiss it, so you can live in your anxiety. And one of the things you have to look at is this fucking 7-2. I can't even zoom in enough. And who are the justices who ruled against it? I wonder. Where is it? You know what? I'm just gonna type it because I fucking said it. Was it Alito? Oh, I don't want to sign up for your newsletter. I just want to sign up for this fucking... Where is it? Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas. That's what you have to know, man. That's what you have to know. Like, and the thing you have to understand this is, like, look, like, when you're fascists, like... The problem with monsterizing fascism, because fascism is monstrous, but the problem with making it this, like, Sauron-like monster is, like, you imbue strengths onto it doesn't have, right? You should absolutely be aware of the dangers, right? And absolutely be aware of how evil people can get within it, right? But you also have to understand that these are not perfect, like... The whole conceit of fascism is you're making horrific, monstrous choices to have a perfect system so the trains run on time. But the trains are 30 seconds to a minute late, and your system isn't perfect, and there's a lot of human capital. So you're full of shit. Okay? So, like, you have to understand that there's a large amount of power struggles that go on within this administration, and even within other fascist dictatorships, there was a lot of power struggles, dictatorships in general, right? Stalinism wasn't a fascist dictatorship, but it was a dictatorship with authoritarianism, right? There's tons of people who died. But if you read about, like, Joseph Stalin and the people around him, they were all constantly jockeying for power, all right? They were all constantly jockeying for position within that. Stalin even used it sometimes to his advantage. So you have to understand that, like, if you if you understand the power structure, you can fight it a little bit. And the big thing here is that, look, because the United States has such decentralized power, right? You can't see what I'm trying to show. Oh my God! What? Have I just been like... What have I been doing?
Pro streamer.
What have I been doing? The first 10 minutes of this stream is useless now. What have I been doing? Who am I?
Brother.
I feel like Timu Hassan Piker. Like, what the fuck? There's 30% tariffs on me showing my screen correctly. I've been angrily screaming. I'm sorry, Creamy Hamster. Also, Creamy, I saw you link Mike's video. Me and Mike are friends. What the fuck? We agree on a lot. You don't have to like objection Phoenix write me with his video. All right, that's my voice on this, so I have to lower it even more because.
Yes, please.
What's up?
Yes, please.
Stop.
You're yelling.
I know I'm yelling.
Please.
I'm yelling for good reason. Railing for good reason. All right. Okay. Let's go back to what I was saying before, and actually do this thing. Okay. Look. Scotus says Trump violated Venezuelan migrants' rights with attempted removals. It was a 7-2 ruling that I blew up, but you couldn't see on screen because I'm dumb. And then... Oh, my fucking... Yeah. And then on top of that, the two justices who dissented were Alito and Clarence Thomas, which is what I said before, right? So... Again, these are monstrous power structures. You cannot give them power that they don't have, or they're going to abuse it in a way that is fucking insane and gets worse, you know? Yeah. Were all of you just waiting for me to realize that the article was not on screen? Some terrible person.
You can pop out the chat.
I know.
Yeah, I would pop out the chat and then
I have the. Well, I mean, I have the chat already. Like up from here.
yeah.
Well, I wanna look up here because it's already showing up on my OBS. Yeah. My girlfriend is my stream manager, and critic.
More like
Critic. But basically, here's what I'm gonna tell you. Okay, so the biggest issue right now, and this is what I said before, is that all the Supreme Court have their own view of what the Supreme Court should be, just in general, right? Thomas wants the court to have institutional, its institutional reputation should be the people who are, well, we know better and we're calling balls and strikes, right? So they're very procedural and specific with things that they do. But Alito and Thomas are probably the most partisan amongst the group, right? Because even Kagan will swing sometimes when it's on a procedural issue, right? Even Kavanaugh will swing sometimes. They all have their own very specific opinions. And you've been watching specifically how Amy Coney Barrett has not lived up to what Trump wanted her to do, which is basically be the flip Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right? Now, look, they did overturn Roe v. Wade, and that's pretty fucking shitty of them to do. But on a lot of these other issues, which is Trump basically just eroding rules so he can do whatever the fuck he wants, that interferes with their view of what the judiciary should be. That interferes with their own power, right? Like, overall, they're an equal branch. They're supposed to be an equal branch to the executive. They're probably the most powerful branch, to be honest, in government, because they can affect things sometimes without the consent of... they can check the other branches without needing another branch, right? But, like, yeah, I think that, like, especially, and even yesterday's hearing, like, everybody was talking specifically about what they're gonna do about like injunctions, right? Like nationwide injunctions. And I think that's something that we need to, like, really discuss, because I feel like we're getting a lot of different... Yeah. See, like, this is a headline that is gloriously irresponsible. Like, because it suggests multiple things, right? I'm not going to act like we don't have there's not a 6-3 majority on the court 100%, but you have to... Everyone wondering how to deal with the current administration should watch Andor. To some extent, yes, but Andor, like, I think Andor is a brilliant thing to watch, especially when it comes to like revolution and systems of power and how things can escalate and stuff like that. And especially because of how, like, in Star Wars lives in media and people are like, oh, I love Darth Vader and shit like that, and then you realize he's a Nazi, right? But we're not at Andor levels of we're not at Andor level yet. I mean, in some cases we are very much. There's a lot of parallels. Prison industrial complex, that's very Andor like. I'm not gonna act like it's not. ICE definitely. But we're not like we're a little bit away. Have you ever heard of progressive victory? Yes. I mean, what are you specifically talking about? Look, like let me finish what kind of my point here, right? The Supreme Court has its own agenda. They don't want Trump to just cede power, right? a big part about the immunity ruling that they gave Trump was unitary executive, just finalizing Bush's unitary executive, and Bush appointed this guy who's the Chief Justice, right? But keep in mind that in that ruling, they control what qualifies as official business. So they are once again the most powerful branch. And so, like, even the Chevron deference doctrine, courts have the power. So it's another power grab just in general. So look, I think when you're talking about like what the Supreme Court is going to do in terms of birthright citizenship, if you look at those comments, it's pretty fucking clear that the justices in general are pretty upset with the birthright citizenship thing, because specifically they all disagree with Trump's interpretation of it. They know this case has been brought through the injunction like battle, right? Because nationwide injunctions have been a battle between the judiciary and the executive branch dating back to Obama, right? Like, so it's been a fight for like a minute. And when it comes to all of that, right, in general, I'm sorry, guys, I'm losing my train of thought. But when it comes to the fight between the judiciary and the executive and nationwide injunctions, it's a case that they know that how they all kind of feel about it overall. Even Kagan, I think, would rule against nationwide injunctions. But because they brought it through birthright citizenship, they now have to make this weird Sophie's choice about, or whether they're going to be unconstitutional or whether they're going to fucking deal with this. And then also, the Trump lawyer in the fucking middle of that whole argument session kind of torpedoed his own thing. There's one thing I wanted to show people, actually. Let me see if I can grab it. We're going to watch this. These guys, this is the Dispatch. They were talking a little bit about what had happened on the Scotus thing yesterday. I think it's an important thing to watch, an important thing to look at, really, when it comes to this stuff.
On the live blog of those oral arguments. And a special thank you to professors who listened to 2.5 hours of oral argument on this emergency appeal, interim relief appeal. We can have a debate about what we're calling that docket in a few minutes, related to Donald Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship. So, and by the way, since we normally do this as just a podcast, you guys don't see me read off all my tabs, but okay, I do. Was not a United States citizen or lawful permanent resident.
We know what this is.
Under the 14th Amendment, as we've been stop issuing these nationwide and universal injunctions. They don't have the power,
just skipping,
the constitutional
so
authority
the meat and potatoes.
Stop something from going into effect nationwide when, for example, I believe it's 18 states had actually been party to these lawsuits. So what about in all of those, was it 28 states? Am I getting that wrong, Zach? No question presented. So we came into this wondering how much was going to be about birthright citizenship, how much was going to be about universal injunctions, how much was going to be about something called associational standing, right? If it's a advocacy group that sues and says that they represent people across the country. And so after 2.5 hours, we have answers to some of those questions, but there were some real surprises. David French, let's do some big picture takeaways. And by the way, just so everyone knows, Amy Howe will be joining us from right outside the courtroom as soon as she can literally get out of the courtroom.
The problem with watching podcasts is the inside jokes come when you're looking for information sometimes.
Pen, paper, and cough drops into the courtroom. So she needs to get her phone, maybe a purse, and then she'll be joining us live outside the courtroom to give us some of those, ESPN style sideline reporter type interviews. But while we wait for her, David French, top line reactions.
I'm reminded of The Princess Bride in this sense, that universal injunctions, as soon as it became clear that this was an argument about universal injunctions.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this right there. What we're seeing is a slide towards authoritarianism. Is ground an inch at a time. The best result we're getting is a holding action. They're called losing. That's called losing, but in slow motion. That's like the most college level opinion I've ever seen. I'm sorry. Like, I've just, like, I can't, like, keep... First off, 100% you have authoritarian people and people who want authoritarian things in government who keep pushing. But that's, like, the most defeatist fucking statement that, like, I just continuously keep hearing. And that just keeps... The goalpost just keeps getting moved, like, all over the fucking place with this thing. Right? Like... If we're going to talk about how the United States is sliding towards authoritarianism, if we're going to talk about how to actually combat it, right, you have to build infrastructure to be able to combat it on a cultural and like a community level, right? Just saying this is a thing that's happening, everybody knows what's happening, whether they deny it or they don't, or they accept it, okay? What you do in the middle of that fight, if you're in the middle of the fight and you're saying, oh, you're fighting authoritarianism, fucking clearly, right? But every single time when you conflate things, when you get like slapped in the face and then you say you got stabbed, those are two different things. You need to be able to assess situations clearly and concisely without conflating two fucking things all the time. All right? So sorry to be harsh, but like I'm telling you what's going on. And if you think it's losing, motherfucker, I've said it over and over and over again. I told people that 7-2 decision was going to happen. I fucking literally said it, and I was told the same fucking thing. And where are we now? Where are we now? You think everything, yeah, things are bad, but the same things that are bad, I told you it was going to be bad. I told you it was going to be like this. I said this is how the Bush administration dealt with it. This is what happened with the Bush administration. Obama wasn't a holding action. Obama reversed a multitude of problems that George Bush had. Did we fix everything? Fuck no, we didn't. Because we had the same fucking problem. We had a problem with understanding the media structure. There was a lot of stuff we didn't understand at the time. So the goal right now should be, if there is any ground made up, you have to fix the problems that you didn't fix before. There was a lot of ignorance about dealing with the Tea Party and the media apparatus of the 24-hour news networks after McCain lost, right? A lot of people said, oh, it's all going to go away. They didn't take it seriously, all right? Now, we have another bite at the apple. Take it fucking seriously. But this shit is the same bullshit that fucking made it harder to fight the Bush administration in 2005 and in 2006. It gave centrists more power. Fuck out of here. I'm sorry. I have no patience for that shit.
Than anything else. But universal injunctions came in here, I thought maybe dead. But then I found out through the first 15 to 20 minutes of the Solicitor General's argument, maybe it was only mostly dead. And that, ironically enough...
And also, Creamy, I'm sorry I'm going in on you. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I appreciate you have a different opinion from me, right? Like, I appreciate that you're, like, not, like, just being, like, Zed, right? I do appreciate that, and I'm glad that you watch Mike's content, because Mike is fucking dope, and he makes really, really great content. But, like, yeah, it's like, just talk with me instead of just talking at me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I appreciate you're not just like saying yes and to me all the time. And I appreciate that we have dissenting opinions here. So thank you for being here, even though I'm an ornery motherfucker sometimes.
The Solicitor General's argument to try to kill universal injunctions may have helped revive universal injunctions. Now,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Ironically enough, the Solicitor General's argument to try to kill universal injunctions may have helped revive universal injunctions. Now, I'm less certain about that after hearing some of the rest of the argument. But in that opening, it was really remarkable. And there was a key moment. There was a key moment where I thought that, this, the Solicitor General here may have torpedoed his own case. And that was when Justice Barrett asked him about, what about injunctions within the Second Circuit? Would you comply with injunctions within the Second Circuit? And he said, generally. And she kept pressing him. And he kept saying, generally. And she's like, no, I'm not saying if like there's some 1950s case that you're trying to get overturned. No, I'm saying there's a present injunction. And he wouldn't retreat from generally, which is another word for not always.
stupidest fucking thing you could have done. It was the stupidest. The Trump Solicitor General went in there and when asked about, like, pretty much just complying with shit, which the court is pissed about. Like, don't act like, listen, the Supreme Court is like, so first off, lower courts, and like, Trump is starting shit with lower courts, right? But Bush did the same thing. A lot of presidents have done the same thing, right? Like, that's already a problem. And the way he acts and moves is already a problem, all right? Supreme Court, like, does have still some institutional reputation. Like, they're pissed. Roberts is sounding the alarm. He's pissed. They're on alert, right? So when, like, you go into a Supreme Court hearing where you're trying to, like, pitch, like, nationwide injunctions and you won't give a fucking straight answer, like, are you going to comply? Here's your olive branch. Are you going to comply? Generally. Fuck you mean generally? What the fuck you mean generally? That's why you saw Barrett concur with Kagan. Conservative justice concur with Kagan. It's like, what are we doing? Fuck do you think you're doing? And like again, like that, the whole strategy, this is stupid Watergate. The whole strategy for these guys was to try to slide in their little birthright citizenship order. It's gonna get overturned no matter what. Like, it's not gonna happen. Not birthright citizenship, but the executive order is gonna get 86th. But it's whether it can be in place for some time so we could say it's a victory and shit like that, right? It's whether or not that was gonna happen. All right? And the small, slim chance that he had, that hearing turned into, well, are we gonna let this even go? Are we gonna let you have an inch? You gonna just keep trying to encroach on us? It went from this is a procedural issue to, oh, you want to do whatever the fuck you want. That's a problem. And that's why I'm like, I have problems with these headlines. Because these headlines are saying, like, oh, they're just going to give him power. I get the fear, but all of the justices were pretty pissed at this line of questioning. And they do have worries about universal injunctions. They want to try to play ball to make it seem even-handed and stuff like that, right? Even though that's fucking not a thing to do with an authoritarian administration. But that raises a lot of fucking concerns, right? And even this order with the Alien Enemies Act, 7-2? Bro.
Or we can't guarantee that. And landing on top of a situation where the court is already alarmed by the administration's failures to fully comply
Neil
with
Gorsuch
the
even complimented Kagan on one of her questions. Yeah, he did.
Judicial orders. That was a fascinating moment. Now, I don't think it was a dispositive moment at all, because it became very clear to me what the court was looking for, though, was a solution that says what allows us to act when we need to act without all of this mess around potentially conflicting district court orders, et cetera, et cetera. And we kept landing into this conundrum. But those opening few minutes were striking to me.
David Latt, we'll bring in Amy Howe. She's ready. I want to bring her in just a second. But real quick, this may be more than any oral argument I can remember listening to was a real expectations game. As in, I think we all went in with the expectations that many, if not most, of these justices would be incredibly skeptical about how district courts have been, let's just say it, abusing their nationwide injunction powers for all manner of random nonsense. Now, this case isn't random nonsense, but it's, there have been a lot of side eye and eye rolling. It's felt like we've seen it in dissents from denial of cert from justices like Gorsuch and Thomas. And it's worth mentioning at this point that also these universal injunctions aren't like a conservative versus liberal thing. Joe Biden had huge numbers on his biggest stuff, student loan debt forgiveness, vaccine mandate, eviction moratorium, all fell victim to these universal injunctions. So just because this happens to be a Donald Trump executive order, the actual fight over universal injunctions doesn't fall neatly along partisan lines at all. In fact, I'll mention, husband of the pod was the Texas Solicitor General. He was the one who got the universal injunctions against Obama's DACA and DAPA policies back during the end of that administration. And he wrote a Wall Street Journal op-ed in the run up to the 2020 election saying, we should all love universal injunction. So that's one of the most, conservative lawyers on the planet who was in favor of universal injunctions. So, David, we went in with that kind of vibes, if you will, that universal injunctions were on life support. Is David French right that John Sauer, the Solicitor General, actually talked himself out of a winning case?
So I don't know, in the sense that I think this was a weird and perhaps challenging vehicle or case to tee up the issue of universal.
I don't want to cut this guy off because he has a pretty nuanced take on this. But look, the general takeaway from what happened with all of this is that it's a good chance that the court sees through the shit, and what they'll do is they'll probably limit universal injunctions, which isn't great, but they're not going to cut it. They'll limit it, but they'll fucking block the birthright citizenship outright. The birthright citizenship executive order, they'll keep it in place as a fucking check, right? And so this is the issue that we keep on coming into, right? Like nationwide injunctions, they've had issues with over the years, with lower courts and everything like that, because the Supreme Court wants full-on power, right? It's like a governor issuing an order that disagrees with a president from a different party. And then even presidents have problems with nationwide injunctions all the time. But there's a good fucking chance that like they see through it and they uphold birthright citizenship, so it's there to stay, and they strike down the order, right? But the other thing I think a lot of people are missing in this, and it's an important thing to kind of take away, is this is pretty. Like, remember a couple weeks ago when the administration was starting to escalate more and more? Like, they were already escalating with the courts, but then I think a couple weeks ago they escalated like pretty heavy. This is the swing back. This is the no, motherfucker, swing back, right? And the thing you have to understand, and this is not like a giant well, I mean, like the ruling today was a pretty big blow for Trump, but like the judiciary does have some advantages over the presidency, and this is one of them, because when they issued like you have to understand that like a lot of people benefit from people upholding the system, and Trump has some checks here which he can't cross, or he's in fucking trouble. So I mean, like that's kind of what I want to kind of say about that, is that what is it? Nationwide. I just searched nationwide injunctions. The ruling today, Trump's authoritarianism. See, like even this, right? Like, yeah, that's a big fucking deal of the block. Supreme Court. Yeah, right here. They could just split the order. They'll block the birthright citizenship order, but limit nationwide injunctions, right? And it is absolutely true that they could do that. We'll have to wait and see, but those arguments they were pretty insulted by those arguments. But for the Alien Enemies Act today, that's a huge fuck you to that. For the deportations, right? He can get in trouble. Like you have to understand, like the immunity ruling for him is for official acts, right? So he can't get prosecuted, but he loses political capital over time. Again, like it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Bush, okay? Like, and that's kind of what I've been trying to kind of hammer home, is that, look, all of this stuff was ratcheted up to an 11. You had citizens detained, you had Islamophobia, you had an unpopular war that got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Within the first year, Bush tried to cut Social Security, and then Hurricane Katrina happened, all this shit. Public sentiment shifted so fucking far that, I mean, you do understand, like, the Iraq War is widely viewed as a fuck-up. That seemed insane and impossible at the time. Seemed impossible. That ever. I don't want to keep going back to 2005, though. I'm going to go back a few more times. I don't want to keep going back to it. But, like, that's what's going on. We look to history to kind of fucking tell us where to move forward. And that's one thing. Also, David Hogg right here. So, the other thing I'll say is about Democratic Party infighting, and I want to talk a little bit about this guy. Howard Dean, 50-state strategy. F's in the chat for Howard Dean for fucking up. So, Howard Dean, is this like a fucking... Okay, this is like a partisan-ass website, but whatever. Howard Dean, right by your side in 2005, yeah. Did Bush have the cult that Trump... Oh, my friend. Yes, he did. He did. I remember working at a Hollywood Video, and there was a... I'm not fucking shitting you. Like, one day we were just... There would be a bunch of straight-to-DVD movies that come out, and one of the movies was just George Bush just looking like this. And it just had, like, faith. How a president uses Christ to fight for America. It's like a full-on fucking documentary about how Christian George Bush was. Fucking there was the Passion of the Christ, like all that shit. Like there was a huge like kind of push for that, about moralism and Americanism and all that kind of shit. You're with us or against us? Huge cult. But Howard Dean's 50-state strategy. So, pretty much. Despite opposition from National Democrats, the Vermont's governor bid to build up the party infrastructure in every state was successful in the unlikeliest of places, right? When former Vermont Governor Howard Dean became chairman of the Democratic National Committee in early 2005, one of his main efforts was to undertake a 50-state strategy, a bid to build up party infrastructure and candidate recruitment at every level in every state, even in solidly Republican bastions. We strengthened the party so sitting governors could find good candidates for offices high and low, Dean said. That's much easier to do from Topeka than it is from Washington. State party chairs loved the idea, but amongst national strategists, the approach was controversial. Dean bumped heads with then Representative Rahm Emanuel, fucking shittiest mayor of Chicago, the chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, who believed in a more conventional strategy focusing on limited campaign resources on swing districts, right? On CNN, Paul Begala said Dean's gambit amounted to hiring a bunch of staff people to wander around Utah and Mississippi and pick their nose. Begala later apologized. You know, here's the other thing. Remember when I talked about that like third way document and the Democratic Leadership Council, those like centrists? Okay, so Dean at the time was the progressive guy. Like he was that, or not necessarily progressive, but he was more progressive than that council, right? And they butted heads like crazy, right? Like they were not seeing eye to eye. And so was Netflix mailing DVDs to people's houses? Was cable internet a thing yet? Yes, it was. Why are you trying to make me old, bro? Why are you trying to make me feel fucking old? Yes, they were absolutely a thing. Also, let me shut the music up again, okay? So. Yeah, so it was absolutely a thing, 100%. And fucking like the issue that came up is that they kept butting heads, and so you were going into the 2006 election, right? Iraq War is horribly unpopular. The Democratic Party was just punching itself in the face. It was doing shit, dude. Nobody had faith in Democrats because they'd fucked up so, bro, like they fumbled the bag so hard. And they fucking killed it. They killed it. Because here's what happened. Rahm Emanuel and all the centrists, right, ran a bunch of blue dogs, like which is like kind of like more moderate Democrats and stuff like that in 2006. Okay? But the way Dean built the strategy is it actually expanded the map. So he proved Begala and all those motherfuckers wrong, you know? And they ended up taking the House. And then during that time, while all this shit was going on, Obama was building up his national profile and campaign style. And then in 2008, it was a battle between Clinton Democrats, who were the centrists of the party and the Democratic Leadership Council, and Obama, who came out of nowhere because Obama built his own infrastructure for grassroots stuff, right? Obama also beefed with Howard Dean. Pretty much, Obama comes like out of nowhere and starts really challenging Clinton, and Clinton is fucking mad. Like, she gets really, really, really upset, you know? And they have a whole fight because Clinton is still like more anti-gay marriage at this time. You know, Obama is more open and more open about talking about gay marriage and stuff like that. Because that was like a big thing, was marriage equality and everything like that. And Bush wanted to have a constitutional amendment against gay marriage. All that moral majority shit. And like eventually Obama, I mean, we all know what happens. Obama gets the landslide and everything like that. So that's just to say, look, these fights with David Hogg and centrists in the party are like very not par for the course, but it's like it's healthy, right? Like, you need the beef. You need it because right now that's what's happened. We're in the middle of trying to figure out what the platform is going to be, and you have to stand by your shit. So like, look, them shuffling him out. Like, keep in mind, like, let's say 6 months. Let's say they shuffle him out. Let's say he doesn't make the next fucking ballot or whatever, right? And they're all establishment and everything like that. If he wins multiple seats and they're in 2026, right? And he has that strategy work, they're going to shut the fuck up and take the money. They're just going to shut up and take it because they're going to back it because they will shift positions because they're a political party. They're agnostic to like what they actually want. The party itself, the entire party, the big tent, is agnostic to an ideal. It's more what works. And you see it with conservatives all the time. Like, the reason the Republican Party is so vastly different than what it used to be is because Donald Trump came in there and brought enough people to just hijack the whole thing. And the party itself wants to win elections. They don't give a fuck. So they're like, all right, fuck it. We're this now. We don't believe in big government, but now we believe in big government. We don't believe in this, now we believe in this. We were pro-Iraq war, pro all of this, but now fuck all of them. Yay police, but fuck the police who we beat up at the Capitol riot. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it changes all of the time. They are agnostic to what works, to all that. Hey, what's up, Kookie? Kookie is one of the mods in our channel. They're really, really great. Yeah, they're agnostic to all that. So my point I'm trying to say is, like, similar to like how you don't like whenever a dog don't get scared of every barking dog, right? Because they're gonna bark all the time. They're all gonna talk shit. Democrats are gonna talk shit. James Carville is gonna always talk shit. He is always talk shit. This guy is like fucking old school Clinton. Like, he looks like his pic. This is a recent picture, and it looks like it's from like the year 2001. Okay, like, he will always. He's 80 years old, guys. All right, like, you have to understand, like, that party infrastructure doesn't fade out until you prove that it can fade out. And look, the cool thing about David Hogg is that I have my own issues with David Hogg here and there, right? But like, he's tenacious. He'll get in front of it. He'll do his shit, and he'll make sure that shit happens. So, I think it's a good thing. You don't want to call me out, Zed. I'm just giving you some love. David, AOC, Bernie, Walls, they're doing what needs to be done and what too many current Democrats are not doing. They're keeping the message in front of the people, and they need to hear it. Yeah. You need to keep this messaging in front of people. You need to make sure people are listening to what's going on and have their ear to the ground for the most part. Let's see what else. Yeah, the pause, and they sent this back to a lower court too. So that should tell you a little bit about what that says for everything else. This is the other thing I want to talk about. There it is. It was gonna fucking happen. It was always gonna fucking happen. Like, that's what I'm trying to tell you, man. Like, House is not united, and the House is razor thin, guys. Like, I've said it before. House Republicans in the U.S. House. Well, I gotta fucking subscribe to Reuters now? Oh, shit, dude. Alright, okay, let me find a non-paywalled article. Conservatives blocked it too. Do I have Washington Post? Okay, that's it. Republican budget hardliners rebelled Friday to block President Donald Trump's massive tax and immigration package over concerns the legislation does not impose deep enough spending cuts. Well, not a great reason, but at least it got blocked. 5 fiscal hawks in the House Budget Committee joined Democrats to sink a procedural vote that would have advanced the measure, formerly called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, to the House floor, where Speaker Mike Johnson hoped to push it through to the chamber next week. The vote is a rebuke of the Speaker and Trump, who earlier Friday insisted on social media that the grandstanders against the bill must unite behind the One Big Beautiful Bill, stop talking and get it done. Well, and that's a dog shit headline too. Like for them, it's a crazy headline for that. I mean, even this is a little bit sensationalist to some extent because they blocked it over their own spending cuts, but like not over tax and immigration. They blocked it over spending cuts not being hard enough. But yeah, there it is. Like, it's not fatal. They're right. They can jump it up. But like, you know, you can't be like this united. This is the thing. Like, he wants a united front to keep like overwhelming people, and it's just not working. Major parts of Trump and Republican tax and immigration package. Extend the 2017 Trump tax cuts. Yep. Crazy spending. Increased standard deduction. Yep. Increased child tax credit. I mean, the child tax credit is great. That needs to be increased. Border wall and immigration restrictions. Your tax on overtime. Race salt cap. Yeah, it didn't serve. Yeah, the Trump tax cuts in general, which end up hurting people eventually, is a $2.2 trillion spend. There it is. This bill falls profoundly short. It does not do what it says. It does not do what we say it does with respect to deficits, Chip Roy said during the meeting. The fact of the matter is, with respect to spending, what we are dealing with here on tax cuts and spending is a massive front-loaded deficit increase. That's the truth. Yeah. That's what's going to happen. Oh Lord, trying to explain this all to our grandkids. Here's the funny thing about all of this. Like, if you've ever worked at like a desk job, this makes sense. Cause it's like a guy who thinks he fucking knows everything, trying to make everything work. Like, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. We're just gonna fucking do it. And everybody's like, this is gonna fuck us all over. Don't do it. He does it anyway. It backfires. And he's like, no, we're doing fine. They're like, no, you're not doing fine. And then eventually he leaves because he fucking sucks. And the company has to deal with this shit. But yeah. Let's just skip the time frame. Yep. Okay. I'm going to change my little music right there. But yeah. The budget bill, I think it's probably going to come back. It's probably going to come back at some point. And we're going to have to deal with it then. But for right now, it's kind of stalled. Comey under investigation for threat to Trump. Get the fuck out of here. Did you hear about this shit? Did you hear about this? So he tweeted out an Instagram thing where it had the numbers 8647. And people are like, oh, it means he wants to 8647. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. That's not what he meant. Get out of here. All right. How many of you guys saw Andor, by the way? I gotta stop this video. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find music that we can play. I'm trying to play beats of mine, but I have so many ad libs in the background. It's kind of nuts. Andor was. I'm only 2 episodes in. 3 episodes into the second season. Holy shit. Holy shit, man. Fucking incredible show. Probably the best Star Wars series on like revolution and living through dark times and trying to fight stuff that I've seen, man. It says a lot of really cool things. Oh, thank you, Mr. Paul, for the $10 super chat. Bruh, I work for America. It's that, except half the people are still culty over him. oh, I work for America. It's that, except half the people are still culty over him and praise him no matter what, while they're being threatened with firing or early retirement. Yeah, I mean, like, that's something. Like I think, here's the thing though. I think like if you're trying to see, there's always going to be a Trump cult. Okay, there's always going to be like 30% of people who are like very like addicted to like the Trump juice, because you have to understand, like, to them, like, they identify. It's like the same. It's like Harry Sisson and Biden, or like a lot of the people who are Bidenites, right? Like this is their like center, right? Like this is what makes them tick. If you look at I'm trying to find another coalition. The Clinton coalition is the best version of it, right? Like, the Clinton coalition changed how you did politics for the Democrats, because they got their asses kicked with Michael Dukakis, right? Clinton was a giant, like, fucking holy shit, this is what we could do. And he was a popular president at the time. He had some unpopular stretches, but he became a popular president because he also had the tech boom behind him. But, like, the Clinton era Democrats, like, swear by that, like, it's the Bible. Like, they have to fucking live off of this one specific strategy forever, even as the world and the times change. And it's because they feel comfortable. They think, like, this makes sense. I can navigate this. And I don't like, and I feel like less afraid of everything. For a lot of Trump, like, America, the issue with Democrats was, they paid lip service. So first off, they paid lip service to Middle America in 2004 and all that kind of stuff, and didn't fucking do shit for them. And then they paid lip service to people in 2008 for minorities. They paid a lot of lip service and not delivered on a lot of things. And for a lot of that Blue Dog Coalition and the Tea Partiers and everything like that, they feel like the world has passed them by, and they'll attach themselves to a politician. In this case, Donald Trump. Them liking Trump is more about them feeling like they have a purpose and they have a voice to be heard, and it's agnostic to what he does. He'll do things that they disagree with. It doesn't matter. Their identity is tied to, like, if I have this, it means I have a purpose in life. And it's sad, but you see it in every, like, you ever met a fucking diehard Cubs fan? Bro, that's rough for a long time until it isn't, right? A diehard Utah Jazz, like, if you see them in sports all the time, like, diehard fans of a franchise who will live and die by that franchise while it's just burning them alive. Look at there's people who still, like, who loved what Nico Harrison did and thought it was good that he traded Luka when the jury was still out. Sports ball, yes. It's really sad. They end up burning so many bridges and giving up so many opportunities that it has to be the right option. If it's not, then they're wrong. Then their whole world falls apart. Yep. We have the same thing. I'm leftists and liberals and all, same fucking thing. Same thing. We can have the first, it has to be this or it's nothing. And that's a great way for motivation, for like working hard, for like going to the nth degree. But, like, if you have nothing else to vote for, you don't get anywhere. Here's the other thing that I actually kind of didn't tell people about. Like, I mentioned it a while back, but here's the other parallel to Trump I think a lot of people aren't looking at. Grover Cleveland. If you don't know anything about Grover Cleveland, he is the only other president who was elected for 2 non-consecutive terms, right? Pretty much, he was elected, and when he was elected in 1884, I think. Where was he? Yeah. Won the 1884, or 18, am I wrong? No, yeah. Won the 1884 election, right? Did what he needed to do, was unpopular, lost that shit, and then a couple years later, he's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna run again. Ran again. People are like, you know what? He wasn't so bad. Let's give him another shot. And he crashed and fucking burned. Like, his ideas were like really bad. Let's read up a little bit, like on his fucking second term. So just so we know where we're at, right? So, you know, so like one of his biggest things was silver. One of the most volatile issues of the 1880s was whether the currency should be backed by gold or silver or by gold alone. And the issue cut across party lines, with Western Republicans and Southern Democrats joining the call for the free coinage of silver, and both parties' representatives in the Northeast holding firm to the gold standards because silver was worth less and its legal equivalent to gold. Taxpayers paid their government bills in silver while international creditors demanded a payment in gold. Yeah. So like he was, I think he backed silver at one point. He also had tariffs too. Yeah, not great on civil rights either. Okay, so where was? Yeah, election of 1892. All right, so he wins, right? Okay. All right. Shortly after Cleveland's second term began, the Panic of 1893 struck and the stock market, leaving Cleveland and the nation to face economic depression. The panic was worsened by the acute shortage of gold that resulted from the increased coinage of silver, and Cleveland called Congress into special session to deal with the problem. The debate over the coinage was as heated as ever, and the effects of the panic had driven more moderates to support repealing the coinage provisions of the Sherman Silver Protection Act, right? Even so, the Silverites rallied their following to so pretty much his whole fucking like real like just love for silver tanked the fucking economy, right? Yeah. So he was like, the Pullman strike too. The Pullman strike. Two interrelated strikes in 1994 that shaped the national labor policy in the United States during the deep period of economic depression. Pretty much during Grover Cleveland's second, like this, right? Yeah, and he ordered the army to stop the strikers from obstructing the trains. Like, dude, these two things like fucked Grover Cleveland, right? Like so much of what he did, he became a president that people just did not fucking like, right? He sullied whatever legacy he had. He just became a fucking like the footnote in history. Cal, thank you for the $50 super chat. Oh my god. I don't ever hang on these since I'm usually working. It was cool getting to hang with you and everybody for a bit. Thanks for everything you do. I know it's a lot of work and time, and it doesn't go underappreciated by us. Keep it up. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, Cal. That means a ton. Thank you guys also for hanging out with me. You know, I know this is a little bit all over the place, but we're gonna get it to a more consistent kind of basis if that's cool. But like, I appreciate you guys sticking on with me. Let's play some more music while we're chilling out. You know. Yeah. I think Donald Trump, like, if 2005 is not your speed, I think Grover Cleveland is a good example of it. And both of these periods, like, they do damage. It's not like they don't. But they're both people who are in over their heads. And I think that's like kind of the major thing. Admin Aha, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. The executive is in charge of enforcing the laws and the rulings of the court. They're ignoring 9 out of 9 SCOTUS decisions. We're at the whims of one man now. No, I mean, like, they're in charge of enforcing like the rulings and the laws of the court. Yeah, but they do have some, like, again, like, there's levels to where, like, again, like, all power in the United States is segmented, right? So even within like Trump's enforcement of laws, right, there's certain like in agencies that he can just, hey, ignore this, right? But there are people segmented around him and around the executive that won't ignore a court order. And keep in mind, like, from what it seems like Congress is less in lockstep with letting him ignore those court orders. To be honest, they'll pay a lot of lip service. I think the main thing you have to also look at is how, again, the difference between what's being said for optics and the difference between actions, right? The big, beautiful bill is big and beautiful until it fails in the House. You know? And these guys have been touting it for weeks. And then like literally it was only 2 days ago where it came out that, hey, not everybody's on board. So you gotta be wary of that. I think in general, yeah, it's a little like if in the worst case scenario, if like Trump like really was like, I'm not gonna listen to anybody and all of that, there would be like that's why it was so nerve-wracking. It's like there could be a constitutional crisis that occurs, and we're like, who the fuck is managing the boat? The issue with that though is that a constitutional crisis where the executive branch wins out doesn't bode well for the other two branches. So the other two branches, if they join together, would be able to check the executive, right? Like again, like that's why you have the balance of powers. It's 2 out of 3 majority, right? If what happened with Bush and even some other people, even Andrew Jackson, to be honest, is they'll go to Congress and they'll change what the laws say to try to force the judiciary to shut the fuck up. And then if there's a problem with the executive, right, the judiciary and Congress will team up to check them. They can impeach them, right? Congress can pull funding, right? Because of the way the military is structured too, right? Congress does have some power to cut off like certain avenues for the military and its interaction with the presidency. And like also you have U.S. Marshals within the military command. There's still multiple levers that are trained to disobey presidential orders if they don't comply with the Constitution. There's a lot of different things that you can do. President also doesn't have control of the National Guard except for in D.C. through a fucking loophole, and even that's fucking dicey. Yeah, there are certain SCOTUS decisions, but he's not ignoring all 9 out of 9 SCOTUS decisions. He's slow walking them, which is what happens. It's like it's if he's ignoring them, then it would be way worse. But he's slow walking pretty much all of them, including the Abrego Garcia one. The this Alien Enemies Act one is pretty bad for him. I don't think he's gonna be able to ignore that very well. He's eliminated them and replaced them with loyalists? No, he is not. He's eliminated the top brass and replaced them with loyalists. So the military has multiple branches and sectors, right? So you have like the top brass. Hexeth has eliminated them, yes, and replaced them with loyalists. But the rank and file who go under him, that's what I'm saying, is like the way the military is structured is specifically to prevent that. And it was structured like that since the Revolutionary War, and like since all of the shit that we've gone through, specifically to prevent those kind of things from happening. You know? No doomering chat. It gives them ammo and helps no one. I mean, look, I'm cool with like differing opinions. The one thing I will tell you is somebody responded. I tried to be like nice and like split an opinion, and I had Creamy Hamster say some wild shit on one of my posts. I'm not fucking cool with that shit. You didn't even fucking listen to anything I said, so I'm probably gonna ban you. I'll be real. Rank and file would keep their vows and would not follow any insane Trump orders. Rank and file, like I think people don't understand like how the military operates. The military is a fairly diverse organization. Like if you talk to any military members in general, they are also very like wary of just like receiving orders that are unconstitutional and shit like that. You know, they're taught from jump to like disobey unconstitutional orders. Bad Empanada super chatted 1,000 ARS to Sam Cedar demanding he debate loser box the other day, and he was such a bad look with the 89 cents at BCAT. I don't know, like also like dude, this is something I do want to say, like I'm getting really tired of this debate bro shit. Like it's getting, have you guys heard of the Unfuck America tour? You guys been hearing about this clusterfuck? So there was this giant tour. It's all over TikTok, right? But there's this giant be patient with people who are afraid. They get nasty. They're not worth it. Yeah, be patient. You know, I'm no admin Aja. I'm no doomer. See Sons of Liberty and political drain. I'm just talking about the current situations. Admin, I do think that you're dooming a little bit, but I understand your feelings, right? Like you're not being unreasonable with things that you're saying and the way you're approaching it. I totally understand like the flip side of it, right? Like, it's ridiculous to act like there aren't norms and constitutional protections being eroded as we're in this. It's tough to act like we're not trying to battle against that consistently. But look, let me talk about this because I may have to go in a second. I know this isn't like the longest stream. We've been streaming for an hour, so we've been chilling with you guys. But here's the thing. So, you know this guy, right? His name's Dean Withers. He's on Jubilee and everything like that. Okay, so him and a bunch of people were on this thing called the Unfuck America tour, and the idea was basically they're gonna go to all these campuses where Charlie Kirk is, and they're gonna debate him on his shit, right? They're gonna give him this giant debate. Like they're gonna go to these like student places where he's starting shit, and they're gonna fight him there. Now look, the people they picked it was kind of front-lined by Parker and Dean, which are these two kind of like skinny white guys. Honestly, the concept of the tour is really fucking stupid to me. I don't, as somebody who advertises and knows how to like build permission structures, Charlie Kirk going to like, I don't know if you've ever been on a college campus and seen somebody in like a political fucking tent. That doesn't convince people. Most of them are just like, what the fuck we're on campus, bro. What are you fucking doing here? Right? That shit happens all the time. Like people, they don't, it's more of a publicity stunt than anything. So in that content funnel, they wanted to challenge Charlie Kirk so he couldn't put out his fucking content or whatever and all that. And they had two white boys kind of like frontlining the tour, which I don't have an issue with. They're fine. But there were a lot of people, like specifically a lot of black women, who were like, hey, is this tour safe for black people or minorities who are going to these places and having to deal with a really rowdy crowd that is aggressive to them? And will this create more hostility towards them on these campuses because of you challenging Charlie Kirk? And then also, this all seems really fucking disorganized. So they got on a live and they started talking. And the organizer of the Unfuck America tour, her name is Z Cohen Sanchez. This lady. Zico and Sanchez, she got on the live and just was pretty aggressive. Threw a lot of microaggressions at them. If you want layman's terms, like she just was like she was pretty disrespectful and at times a little bit like racist. So like yeah, she was pretty bad. And it reasonably pissed them the fuck off. Like she came into the stream going, I guess great job, left. Like great job. The left is coming together, when they were voicing pretty legitimate concerns about the way this shit is going, right? Also, this lady fucking interviewed Destiny, which I think already is a pretty big red flag. Like after the revenge porn thing. So that's a crazy, some wild work right there. And so look, she's an organizer. She runs a lot of PACs, but she's an established organizer. She runs PACs. And essentially she came on here. She was really fucking like shitty to these black women. She said she wanted to take like criticism. She didn't take criticism very well. She was like, she kind of implied that they had not organized. They organizing is hard. Like, what is it like? And that their criticisms of the tour are actually endangering all of the BIPOC people in the background that you can't see, which was pretty fucking insulting. Like these are literally, like black women who are telling you like, hey, this tour is not representative. There are significant issues with the way it's being organized. You don't know what the fucking point is. We're not trying to down you. We're just saying these things can be improved. And You're saying shut the fuck up. You're a danger to black. They are black women. They're organizers, right? So look, this set off a whole fucking controversy, and you had let me see if I can find it. There was a TikTok that kind of exposed a lot of it. So the main Unfuck America tour. Oh, thank you so much for the $10, Ultra Sigma. Would you rather see the Dems streamed on Twitch? Would you rather see the Dems streamed on Twitch? Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Fortnite, or Minecraft? Maybe something else. I want them to stream Claire Obscure 33, and then I'll be happy. The Unfuck America tour, I guess, exposed. I think it was. Who's it?
Reach out to me because I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of questions.
Peyton. His name's Peyton. Sorry, I completely forgot his name for a second. But Peyton did this whole thing where this is Peyton. He's a content creator, does some funny things. He's right now like organizing to create like affordable housing, like trying to take an abandoned, I forget what it is.
We're turning an abandoned hotel into affordable housing, and you guys can help finish.
And he's actually working really, really hard on it. But he was supposed to be on the tour. He had a problem with the way the tour was being run. Talked about it here, right? And then got kicked off of it. So then he did a big old investigation because he was in the middle of the fucking like group text chat and found a lot of problems with Z and a lot of discrepancies with the finances of the tour because people weren't getting paid. Multiple people who had not been paid by Z reached out to him. You know, a lot of FEC problems, a lot of very specific issues. Brian Griggs, thank you so much for the $5, Brian Griggs. Did you hear about Kristi Noem talking about making a TV show about migrants competing in games allowed to be entered? Oh my God, yes. Hold on. We'll talk about that, Brian. Let me repeat that so your super chat isn't lost in the sauce. Did you hear about Kristi Noem talking about making a TV show about migrants competing in games to be allowed entry into the U.S.? I did hear about that. We'll talk about that in a second. But essentially, Z Chavez, Z Sanchez, I'm so sorry. That's not her name. That was rude. But Z is essentially kind of... Wait, no, that's the National Ground Game. Where is her thing? It's another pack. But whatever. Z essentially has been caught for like defrauding people and a lot of other bullshit. And the tour has kind of imploded. And a lot of the creators on the tour knew that Z had kind of a crash out on this live. While the live was going on, they were shit talking a lot of the black women on the live. And it just kind of blew up in their face. I think in general for these kind of things, like this is why like the Harry Sisson thing is a good example. Like the reason I haven't released that Griff Watch is because like it's one of those things where this group of people who's like super like I'm Democratic National Committee influencers, right? In general, they're pretty ineffective. I think it's important. I will release it eventually, but like in general, I just get a really bad vibe from it because it's the like what's a good way to put it? In music, if you know in music, like people say they're studio plants, those are the studio plants of politics, right? They are the very studio corporate motherfuckers who are front and center. They want a squeaky clean image. They don't want to say anything too controversial unless it looks good for camera. And then they bow out otherwise. I think Dean Withers is engaging to watch. He's a fun debater, but I also don't necessarily trust him 100%. I think he's part of that group. I think a lot of people are trying to play like very risk averse when it comes to messaging. And I mean, like, it's good to be risk averse in some cases, but they're so risk averse that the message gets diluted and they don't really fucking say anything. So I just get very worried about that kind of shit. I think there's also, like, we were talking about Democratic infighting before. I think there are people who want to be really risk averse and they do the wrong things because they don't want to stand for anything. And there are people who are too risk intensive, who want to risk literally, who want to break every rule, but to the extent that it actually sabotages their own message, because they think they're being edgy from it. And I'm not saying there's not a center. It's probably a little bit more risk than it is risk averse, but yeah, I just think it's not a great vibe. What do you think of Buttigieg on Flagrant? I actually think that was really good. I'm not a big fan of people going on to like really shitty podcasts or like I really don't like Flagrant. If you can't tell, I'm not a fan of people going on to podcasts that are, pretty like partisan and like have this kind of like built-in audience. I mean, all podcasts have a built-in audience, but like if you go on real time with Bill Maher to debate Bill Maher, you're not gonna really get any. Like you're not gonna change any minds. Like there's no effectiveness done unless it's a certain person at a certain time in a certain way. I think what Pete did is really smart because he presents in a certain way. His brand presents in a certain way. So it creates, if you didn't know, let me just bring it up too. Yeah, I mean, like, look.
What's up, guys? Today we are...
this guy's such a fucking dipshit. I'll just stop on a screen of Pete.
Certain point, especially...
I think, like, and this is the thing, like, before Ethan Klein had that, his crash out, right? Like, when you go on these shows and you have the brand capital to be able to work on them, then it's really effective, right? Because you have a conversation. A lot of times people come on these shows to kind of get railroaded. And the best example I can tell you of somebody using their political capital and their brand in a really, really smart way to go on a show that they're definitely not welcome on was Crossfire. Because the goal there is to win over you can make the clip, and whatever clip you get from that, if it's partisan immediately, you're fucked. Because you just went on a show, it'll promote their brand and it'll promote like yours, but you won't really change anything. Jon Stewart's Crossfire is, I think, a fucking brilliant example of somebody going on a show and so clearly laying out like the nonpartisan issue of like, this is shit. Because he went after Paul Begala too, and he was like, yo, this is shit. This sucks. What are you doing? And CNN canceled it afterwards. And I think that's a big thing. I think here also, right, Pete is clearly a Democrat. Right, and Pete is clearly more liberal or leftist or progressive or whatever you want to call it. I think the thing he does here is he meets them where they are to explain these issues in a way that makes the most concise sense to them, and that does a lot for getting over the hump. So I think his appearance was effective. There are other places where I think that like you don't want to go. Right? Like, I don't think it's smart for Gavin Newsom to have fucking Steve Bannon on. Because, like, that doesn't show that, like, the image of that is not, let's have a conversation. The image of that is, like, we're the same, right? No, Steve Bannon is very malicious in his intent. He's a malicious dude. So you don't want to be in with a malicious crowd. I think Pete here, these guys are, like, kind of idiots who just want to talk shit and they're mad so they made it political. But because he meets them and like, hey, I'll talk shit with you, but I'll check you on it. It's smart. Like Mark Lamont Hill on Joe Budden is a good example too, because I dislike the Joe Budden podcast and I think there's a lot of problems with it. But like, man, Mark Lamont Hill when he's on there meets them where they're at, like and is able to have a conversation that goes somewhere. So I think it was good on Pete to do this. I think this was smart. Let's see. We watch a little bit.
If you're past a certain point and how much you're sitting on,
yeah,
you got to contribute a little bit. I mean, this is not a novel. Property taxes are that way, right? Like, you don't wait. Depends where you live, but usually you don't wait until you sell a home to have to pay property tax on every year. Like, you contribute a little bit of the value of the real estate you're sitting on.
Right. Well, Pete has the same Biden energy, talks nice to camera, but on Zoom screaming at the organizers who helped get him elected. I hate to break it to you, but I think a lot of politicians have that energy, unfortunately. It's a high stress job, man. Like, I think that's the problem in general is like you have a lot of people who are. And the way you fix that too is you set boundaries. I mean, Amy Klobuchar was like that. Amy Klobuchar was like that all the time, and she got found out that she threw like a stapler at somebody's head and called out for it. Not probably pro dumb autocrat. Wait, what did admin say? Wait, what is being said? There's apparently like a controversy. Admin A had don't take the rage bait when they say crazy shit. Pay attention to what's not being talked about. That's true. Pay attention to what's not being talked about. What's the big problem with what admin said? All right, I'll catch up to chat in a second. Because he defended the Israeli nose and he was spearing to the Zionists because he defended the Israel nose and didn't want to be so quick to forget what happened on October 6th. I mean, like, guys, like we can talk about this, but like the entirety of the Israel-Gaza debate is mired in massive like propaganda from 2024, right? Like let's just meet the situation where we're at. What's going on right now is terrible and horrifying and fucked up, and like there's no going back from this being a genocide. People are being massacred for no fucking reason, and it's I've followed this thing since I was like a kid. It's demoralizing, so people are talking about Ethan Klein. Oh yeah, Ethan Klein. Look, the only reason I don't talk a lot about Ethan is because I was on Phil's show, and I just don't want to call it, like, it just gets messy, dude. Like that guy wants to get messy all the time, and like, I mean the evidence. It's like the same with Kanye, bro. Like, and not to compare Ethan to Kanye, but like it's the same with people who are in a public space, who are having a very public crash out moment. Like Ethan's lines and beliefs are very well documented. His partisanship is very well documented. He is a partisan, right? He messes with a lot of people. I'm not worried about that, but like I think that, like, in general, it's just like I don't want to cause trouble for Phil. I call out things that I think are wrong and inconsistent and rude. I've said some shit in raps. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, like, I recorded a segment on it, and I just felt like I don't like to record shit and content just for drama. If I feel something's gonna cause drama for drama's sake, I don't want to fucking do it. I want to make things that are conducive to the conversation and help people out, right? That's why, like, a lot of times, like, when I'm reporting on something that's bad, it's to inform. When I'm trying to talk about, like, the stuff about, like, Project 2025 and how to combat this, it's not because I just want to say something. It's because I want to be informative and I want to give people a game plan. Like, that's why I'm doing this live, is because originally I wanted to do a Zed Talks on David Hogg and infighting, and it took it up. Yeah, I'm still on live. Yeah, and I mean, like, look, I wanted to do a whole thing about David Hogg and everything like that, and the thing I was writing, I think, was not as consistent as I wanted it to be, and I'll probably still finish it and do something with it. But like, if I can't contribute to the conversation, then I don't want to just give you slop. It's not fucking great, There's plenty of other places you can get slop. Yeah, I don't think it's getting deep with non-related stuff. I don't believe Hassan is an anti-Semite. Not Ethan is not pro-Palestine. There's just a tone of evidence for both. Yet people are just saying what I had heard was. I'm not saying what I had heard. I saw what happened. I'm not happy with it. There's a lot of other issues. Okay, let's stop talking about Ethan Klein. Like, I'll be very clear. Right? Like, I don't like when it gets to a point where, like, we have to address it, but like the jury is there. Okay? Like I don't think, like, there's nothing in that entire conversation that is not just built on drama. Like, the biggest issue I have with that entire debate, and that's why I said it before, right, was that this debate, like, that entire debate turned into Ethan versus Hassan, right? And who was right? Like, a lot of the debate around Israel and Palestine has turned into what intellectual figurehead is dunking on the other intellectual figurehead, but then sprinkles of these kids are dying versus these kids are dying, what do we do? So Iraq War had the same shit, and I'm just fucking tired of it. Like there are kids dying, there are people who need food, there are people who need help. I don't want to give airtime to shit that is not helping them out. That's my thought. Sorry, that's how I feel. Watching Ethan go from internet dark. Chris, I will read your comment because you were very kind and you gave me a super chat. Thank you so much. Watching Ethan go from internet darling to someone who seems to start beef with everyone has been depressing. Yeah, that's kind of a thing. I mean, like, look, man, like people have. I think something that isn't discussed enough, like with all of this stuff, is like, dude, like the crash outs have been getting worse over the last, like, it's not just that like a lot of people have been crashing out. The crash outs have been getting worse from people, and it's usually people who are just overwhelmed or feel like the world is against them in public spaces. And it's just getting worse and worse. And oh my God, what's going on now? Yeah, like read the room. Yeah, like I feel like I feel like in general the amount of people who are public figures who have to deal with these very prevalent issues of our time that are not easy to navigate through. Even if you are pro-Palestine, like I am, it's hard to navigate through a space and be heard consistently. I've talked about Palestinians for a while and what they've been going through, and I have had people who have commented on my videos like, Zed, I know you forgot about Palestine because you're a fucking fraud, but people are still dying there. I'm like, oh, real? Thank you for fucking the thing I've been talking about for weeks. Thank you for that. Like that shit happens all the time. And it's because people, and I don't begrudge them. I just think people don't feel like they're being heard in general. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point. I apologize. No, you're good. You're good, Chris. I don't think you're. I'm not. I don't blame you, man. Like I know we're all stressed, and I know we're all going through it. I feel bad because I feel like this is so disorganized in my life. This is the most disorganized live I've ever done. I've done a few, but this is probably the most disorganized of them. But it's where we're at. Okay, what time is it? It's 5. Okay, I probably gotta get off and do some stuff. But look, guys. Final thoughts on today in news and everything like that we have, right? Supreme Court Trump returns from Qatar with his fucking terror. Okay. I'm gonna. Oh, whoa. Kilmar Alberto Garcia, Trump attorneys draw judge's ire with state secrets. Okay. All right. Okay. So here's where we're at. Pretty big swings from the Supreme Court today. Pretty enormous swings. Right? These are not nothing. These are not like this just happens and it goes away, nobody cares, all of that kind of shit. Baby, can you give me a magic mind from the living room?
Yeah, give me a sec.
Can you give me a free one?
Huh?
Can you give me the free one without caffeine?
Yeah. Just
Cool.
give me a sec.
Yeah, okay. I'm stressed. I think my biggest issue in general with all of this kind of stuff is like, again, like I like saying what the fuck did I say, because I was correct about some shit, but I also hate like trying to rub it into people. Look, again, the point is not that just because a ruling happens doesn't mean authoritarianism is lost, right? This is a process. Let's say you beat the Nazis. If you beat the Nazis, you then have to put into place reforms that make sure that the ideology and the underlying problems that led to that issue are not in place. And to some extent, that did happen. But to a larger extent, because of the way anti-Semitism grew out since World War II, there was a failure to really address that. In this case, specifically the reason I bring up 2005 and a lot of the mid-2000s is because there was a significant failure where okay, what's going on, guys? Like, sorry, the chat's kind of blowing up. Are we still talking about Are we talking about Zed? Have you talked about Mike Lee's censorship bill, the Interstate Obscenity Definition Act? I know I've asked this before, but the bill has devastating ramifications if passed. I'm gonna let you know very quickly. I don't think that Mike Lee bill is gonna pass. Like, guys, like that's like the chances of that passing are, if they pass. Do you understand? Like the think about it this way: whenever a bill is proposed, look at who it affects, and look at how much money they have, and look at how much cultural capital they have. Here's the fact. The porn industry has a ton of money and a ton of cultural capital, right? Believe it or not. So Mike Lee's obscenity, and we're far past the world of obscenity. It's passed in some states, like the obscenity laws in Texas and everything like that. But even those are getting challenged to some extent, and those are highly unpopular, and people are finding loopholes around them. So, like, look, I don't think that right now, as of now, that's not something you should worry about. Okay? If it ratchets up to a point where, like, this actually can get really, really bad, I will 100% report on it. And I'll mention something on Sunday about it. But, like, I don't see that. Again, you also have to understand, like, and this is the problem with the government, is, like, there's a lot of performative bills introduced that people do to try to fucking shore up political stuff and everything like that. I appreciate it, babe. Yeah. But, like, look, overall, what I'm trying to tell you is that when, like, we just didn't do the work that we needed to do when Obama, like, won. Because Obama did win on a progressive platform, especially for the mid-aughts, right? He was more progressive on gay marriage than any person before that. And he was a significant change from politicians we'd seen in the Democratic vein for years. And it's like Bernie was, you know? But when he started to govern, because he was inexperienced, right? The Biden era. Oh, thank you, babe. Thank you, babe. Sorry, guys. By the way, in the Biden era, right? In the Obama era, Biden, like, had the experience for bipartisanship to get shit passed in general. So what ended up happening, especially in that era, was Obama ended up being like, all right, well, I have to get shit passed, so what do you need me to do? And a lot of that crept into what he did. So you saw there were certain things that he did that were progressive in terms of messaging and in terms of what his strengths were with the grassroots campaigning and everything like that. But within procedural doctrine, that's the problems we had with the Biden administration too. You know, it was the same procedural, like, slow walking of shit. You had a lame duck Congress that was a lame duck. The Congress was trying to make him a lame duck president. You know, Biden got some stuff across the line. Let's not act like he didn't. But the biggest problems with messaging, with, like, oh, the economy is fine, even though people are really suffering from it. Inflation, you know, there were just significant issues. If the second bite at the apple happens, which it seems like we're leading towards that. We're leading to a repeat, right? We can't give in to doomerism, and we can't at all, like, think that, like, I understand that there are leftists and liberals, but, like, the goal should not be whether liberals or leftists should lead the party. The goal should be, what is the problem you have? What are you worried about? All right, what can we do about it? That's it. Trans people are being systematically attacked and erased. It shouldn't be, oh, we don't want to fucking talk about it. It's going to alienate voters. No, what do we do about it? What do we do about it? They're mad at it. What are you worried about? Oh, well, I'm worried about, you know, like, losing my job and inflation. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? There's a balancing act that can be played. But the polarization that we're experiencing right now, too, by the way, is also what Republicans went through in fucking post the Obama era, where you had the far right and the right clashing, you know, and if if history tells us anything, the far left probably wins this one, right? It's looking very much so it's going to be like AOC or Pete Buttigieg. I don't think Gavin Newsom is going to have... Gavin Newsom's kind of fucked himself quite a bit with his constituencies. He's not a terribly popular person. He fights he's pretty good at getting shit done, but like he's also kind of a sociopath sometimes. Kooky, you don't need to mod the chat. You're good. Appreciate it though. Free and Jerusalem resisting. My rage bait comment was porn bill. Yeah, I was too young to see the Obama. I was too young to vote in the Obama era, so I'm curious. Why do we? I think we got too comfortable. Yeah, we got way too comfortable. This was a pretty well-known thing. We got way too fucking comfortable in the Obama era. Like, I think people don't understand. Like, we thought that, like, dude, there was so many people who were like, racism is over. Do you know that? Like, there were so many people who was like, that was a Republican talking point. There's a black man as president. So stop complaining. Well, Trayvon Martin still got shot. And there were still unarmed killings of black Americans. There were still I mean, we are where we are right now. Right? The birtherism, you know, like, we thought racism was like a French thing. We didn't know it was systematic. And like there was a large amount of people who wanted to act like let's just move on from it, but you have to deal with it. And so this time if you get a second bite at the apple, this should be a conversation where it's not because keep in mind when Obama won, a lot of people felt like, oh, you know what? You made it us against them. Like the Iraq war people made it us against them. Well, fuck them. We're leaving them behind. They got proven wrong. We don't need to listen to them, right? And there are people in that coalition who were primed since birth to believe in specific American values. And their concerns, like people in Detroit, when fucking they lost all of their jobs in the recession, people who lived in small towns in America really did feel the weight of being left behind as the tech industry boomed and Wall Street made a shit ton of money. Just address the concerns. And address the concerns that people like me, a Muslim guy in America who has had to deal with racism his whole life as well, in a different way than certain other communities have, but has dealt with it. You have to find a way to address that. Like, there's a way to do that, right? And I think the biggest issue with the Democratic Party and the reason it's so middling is they don't know how to do both. They want a broad candidate who appeals to a lot. They thought Kamala Harris was that. But they're so risk averse when you do that. You feel like if you pick an issue, you alienate another issue. It's not that. It's articulating the right policies in a way that people understand the benefits of them. It's not picking which policies to go with. It shouldn't be like, oh, do you want to pick trans rights or do you want to pick climate change? You can only have one. Or do you want to pick the economy? Do you want to be? Do you want Bernie Sanders or do you want Hitler? Like you can have everything, right? But it comes to being articulate about the way you're putting your message across. We had a huge messaging problem. Like last year, you had some people who were really smart in the way they articulated. Like, look, I'm like Israel and Gaza, for example, right? There were people who were really smart about this issue who were articulating this is not an issue between Gazan civilians and hostages. Both of them need to be okay. This is a situation about death tolls and force. And Israeli citizens are against this. Gazans are getting hurt. Majority of people don't like this. This is where you need to push, right? And much of the situation became, oh, we can't do this because it's politically unfeasible. We can't do this because it's politically unfeasible. Granted, what happened in Gaza didn't swing the election, right? And what happened and Kamala lost for a multitude of reasons. A large one of them, Joe Biden's messaging around things, and the Biden team who ran our campaign sucked. Like I'm poor messaging, poor planning. But you know, they had less time than almost any other presidential candidate, and I mean a lot of this has to do with like, look, just better messaging overall. I think the infighting that happens between this kind of stuff is less is built on people feeling that they have no power. Everybody's got power right now in the conversation. You all have power. I have power. The goal right now should be about trying to find the most cogent way to get across the things you want to get across, rather than like, if liberals lose, leftists don't win, and if leftists win, liberals don't lose. It's just getting across the policies you want in the most coherent way possible, so we don't have to fucking deal with this orange dipshit anymore. Is that it's about powerful people crushing the powerless as usual. I mean, like, the thing is, listen, like, I've worked in corporate America before and dealt with, like, all of that shit. Powerful people suck at being powerful sometimes, man. Like, there's some people who are really powerful, but, like, nobody wants to work there, okay? Like, you can get corporate America to do things if you know where to pressure them. But the problem is that people don't know what to pressure about corporate structures. If you know what you're swinging at, it's not hard, right? Like, if you want to, like, for example, Apple, I can't say a lot. Apple loves to be inclusive. Like, that's their, like, they do have a mission statement, is being inclusive and trying to bring more people into their ecosystem, right? That's why they'll spend money. That's why they'll lose money on initiatives that are actually a net good. Sometimes Apple does shit that's not great. That's really fucking short-sighted. That is very planned obsolescence based. Right? And so if you attack them from the angle that this is not an inclusive thing, they will run the fuck back and do whatever they can to reverse the issue. Because it interferes with their mission statement, it interferes with their entire company identity, and they lose the ability to create a permission structure where the products are no longer the focal point. Their problems are the focal point, right? Like, Disney deals with this a lot. Disney wants you to think about these magical worlds you can escape into, but when you're thinking about the fact that, hey man, they just keep homogenizing franchises, that's not what they want. So they'll cut products. They'll re-streamline everything. Oh, you're being predatory. You made a Jenny Nicholson video. We gotta change everything, right? Because part of their company's survival relies on how they look and how they and what their actual mission statement is. There's ways to pressure different companies into things, right? Well, what's another company you can pressure that I'm trying to think of? Here's a good one. Elon Musk and Tesla. That's a good one because Elon Musk is a fucking asshole. Electric cars needed competition because Elon was fucking monopolizing the whole motherfucker. So what people did, right, is they got Elon. Elon did these interviews. They're like, oh, I'm going to be a boon to the car industry. And all the car executives would be like, Elon is such a great boon to the car industry, which he was. There's just things that he pushed business-wise that helped the industry. But the Tesla supercharger network was like the most prohibitive, like, that's why you bought a Tesla over everything else. Tesla had varying build quality. They had all these issues, but you would always buy a Tesla because the supercharger network made it so easy. If you couldn't install a home charger, you could feasibly own a Tesla. And it was harder for other cars to kind of compete, right? Well, over the last couple of years, Tesla's gotten its ass handed to it a little bit, right? It's gotten a lot more competition, and the Electrify America hasn't really done so well. So what did they do? All right. They kept increasing market share to where having a Tesla is now like the brand of Tesla has been eroded, not only because of Elon Musk's actions, but because of the competition in the space and the advancement in the space. People see more Ioniqs, people see more Mustang E's, people see all these sorts of electric cars and all these cool things and what can happen and how affordable it can be. And so now they're like, well, hey, here's this like, and there's this need. So now Tesla, who wants to monopolize the market, can no longer do so. It's in their best incentive to partner with Hyundai and everything like that. And so I received a message about like a month ago. And again, this was like a big issue. Like I have an electric car. I wanted to buy it. We're thinking about moving to a place. We have to buy a charger for it just because like I can't keep like going out late at night to charge at these Electrify America stations, which are always packed. And I made a deal like, hey, listen, we'll install the Tesla charger port, but you give us access to the supercharger network, which are cheaper. And now Tesla kind of has to fucking do it, right? And so they attack the market share and the brand equity trademark around electric cars. Now when you think of electric car, you don't immediately think Tesla. Now when you think of electric car, there's 4 or 5 different cars you can think of, right? So they don't have that brand equity, and having to explain, well, the supercharger network doesn't really work. So Tesla has to have another angle to try to sell their cars, right? And so they want to get that supercharger network out there. They want people to fucking involve in it. So best to make friends with the competition and advertise the benefits of the supercharger network if you buy a Tesla instead of this Ioniq when you're going for your next car. Like, it's a long-term play. There are ways to pressure companies to do the things you want them to do, right? There are ways to pressure your opponent to listening to you and having to deal with shit that you want them to do. And it's not just punch. You have to take a fucking couple hits. You have to step backwards a little bit, right? Okay? But you're setting it's a long-term play. So, yeah, I mean, sorry for rambling so much, but my biggest thing is like for whatever happens in the future with all of this stuff with Donald Trump, with everything, when it comes to attacking corporate structures and power structures, right? You have to be effective at what you do. And I'll say one last thing before I go, because it's something that bugged me. Somebody linked the Humanist Report's video under my analysis of the Supreme Court case, saying that they disagree with me slightly. I called them out earlier, saying that they disagree with me slightly, and I wasn't taking that in. I understand that Mike disagrees with me slightly. And I understand that, like, there are things that I disagree with Mike on, but, like, it's very few things that we really disagree on, right? We both want the same things. And this is a fight that we are fighting on multiple planes. Mike is not a rapper. He's not a Street Fighter player, right? He speaks to a different audience than I do, and we have some crossover. And you have to, like, if I just parroted, like, if my whole thing was to be exactly 1-1 with Mike, I wouldn't be able to talk in certain terms about, you know, some of the abuses of the Trump administration that I think aren't gonna like I wouldn't be able to help advocate for the same things like trans rights effectively to the audiences Mike can't reach. And there's things that I say and there are viewpoints that I have that Mike does not have, but that helps him advocate really, really well to audiences that I will not reach, right? You don't want a homogenous punch. You want a unified front that's pressuring for the same issues, attacking from different. You want the diversity of opinion, but hopefully towards the same goal. And so, like, you can link Mike videos and stuff like that. I'm not mad at you for doing that, but just understand, like, the way you're saying he disagrees with me slightly, he really doesn't. There's issues that we, like, he's worried, and he has every right to be worried. It's bad if the Scotus does if the Scotus sides, yeah, that would be really bad. But here's where I think things are going. But a lot of the things that he's worried about, they're present in other places. So yeah, I think the infighting is really fucking stupid. I'm gonna read a few comments and then I'm gonna go. Okay. No one nor any company by any stature has any right to use your personal private data not in your interest. Yes, the law still exists. That's true. The 1,000-hand slap approach. Yes, 100-hand slap. It's fucking horrible and it's terrible to deal with in Street Fighter 6. It's hard to deal with here. Teslas have been dying out since the late 2010s because they didn't really up their design or really change the game, while all these other companies jumped onto the EV game. Tesla upped certain design aspects, but they didn't up nearly as much as they should have. And like I have an Ioniq 5. I have a bunch of friends who used to own Teslas who are trying to switch over to what I have, because what I have is gas. I love David Hogg. Survived a horrific event and getting made a name for himself and is bringing fresh eyes to the youth. David Hogg is really on his game. He's effective, right? WOTC and OGL, PlayStation or Warner Brothers. I would say. I mean, PlayStation. I'm really mad at Warner Brothers right now. How would this work on Activision? I hate how they are handling COD, for example. How would it work with Activision? You have a pretty consistent way to deal with Activision, right? When the player base complains, they just move slow. So it's sales and the player base complaining. So like if Call of Duty sells, like it's gonna like, there's a couple other ways too. If you create a culture in the game where you just keep voicing echoed opinions, where like, man, like what would make me buy a Call of Duty game is this, they'll listen to you, right? Like what would make, like you have to find out what they want and give them a quick pathway to what they want, and then they'll investigate it. That's a good way. Or you could pressure them with like boycotting or whatever you want to do. I've worked with Activision before, so I'm not advocating for anything, but that works. That's how it works. I'm still leaning on a David Hogg as a grifter stance due to his strange obsession with his own pack, and how Malcolm, his vice chair, pointed out that he's focused more on that lately. I mean, I think you can have both. I think they're both political actors. I kind of don't trust either of them, right? I trust incentives, man. I think he does want the right things to happen. I think he's less of a grifter than certain other people, though. I think he's less of a grifter than Harry Sisson. I'll give you that. All right, that's gonna do it for our live today, guys. I probably actually have to go. Thank you guys so much for jumping in. We're gonna have another Freestyle the News on Sunday. I appreciate you guys for joining. I'm sorry I couldn't post a video. We'll get back to posting more videos next week. Freestyle the News and then like midweek videos in general. Just been hectic with Evo and everything like that. I actually got to record some stuff when I get off. So, yeah, that's what's going on. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. And talk soon.